So today I want to talk about reflecting upon a marathon race. So when you've completed the race, did it go well, did it not go well? Reflecting upon what you've learned, what you've found out about yourself during that race. So if you're a marathon runner or an endurance athlete, this could be relevant to you. So keep on watching, keep on listening. Welcome back to consecutive day 1792 of a diary of a Runpreneur. And today's topic is all about reflecting upon a marathon race or an endurance race. It's all kind of relevant. It's just reflecting upon an event that you've taken part in, whether you performed well or whether you haven't performed well. It's about reflecting upon what happened and why it happened. So before we get into this, please don't forget that this vlog is part of a fundraiser of saving the lives of children by attempting the ultimate marathon, ultra marathon of run vlogging on consecutive days of distance of a lap of the world, barefoot style. And the more people we get in front of, more money we raise, more children's lives we save, which is why I do this every single day. So back to the topic at hand, reflecting upon a marathon race. So yesterday I ran Manchester Marathon. First time I've run the race, and it didn't really go as I wanted it to. So I hit the wall about 30 kilometres, so I still had another 12.2 to go, and yeah, that was a really long 12.2 kilometres. I literally fell off a cliff, and I was trying to kind of come in around kind of 3 hours 25, possibly 3:30, and I ended up coming in at 3 hours and 47. So yeah, and all that lost time was in the last 12 kilometres. So what did I learn, and why is this an important process? Well, it's an important process. It's my 14th marathon or ultra marathon now. Manchester was. I have Edinburgh Marathon coming up in 4 weeks' time, and you probably notice why I'm running incredibly gingerly. I'm aching all over, even my shoulders are aching, quads are on fire, blisters on my feet. I've put Compeed plasters on, but I'm still really feeling them. But yeah, reflecting on what happened and why. So it didn't go, first and foremost, it didn't go to plan. And it's interesting because when I actually dissect what happened, it makes it fairly obvious of what went wrong and why it went wrong. So the first thing I need to put into perspective is my kind of expectations were unrealistic. So I was thinking I could get, a 3 hour 25 or below 3 hour 25 minute marathon time when I hadn't really trained for it. Now you might think, we run every day. Yes, I do run every day, but when I train for marathon times, I have to do a specific plan around how I run each day, geared towards achieving that time. So I've talked about this in previous episodes, I'm not going to do so today, but I train to Tanda, which takes into account the weekly mileage I run, and it gives me a target weekly average pace that I need to kind of maintain to be cardiovascular fit enough to achieve a set marathon time. So I'm not going to go into detail on that, but so basically when I'm training for a specific marathon time, I would have to increase my pace if I'm doing the same mileage each week, which is what I do. But because I was kind of overcoming a hamstring injury since February, middle of February, which is only really just about healed now, probably a week before the actual marathon start date, I only felt confident enough that it would withstand that level of kind of pressure of running a marathon. So I was always recovery running, so I wasn't doing any speed related work, and hence my cardiovascular fitness level wasn't up to it. So the Tanda race prediction I had prior to the start line was 3 hours 30. Now, just for caveat, that prediction time is only going to be relevant if you run the right race strategy. And that comes on to kind of part two. So part one, I had unrealistic expectations. I had the data suggesting I was fit for about a 3 hour 30, okay? But I stupidly went out on race day strategy at 3 hour 15 pace because I've got this time in my head that I want to get a sub 3 hour 15 because that qualifies me for one of the major marathons. So that's ultimately what I've been gearing up towards. But A, I haven't trained properly, and B, the data is saying that I'm fit enough to do a 3:30, not a 3:15. So why on earth would I start off for the first half marathon at 3 hours, a 3 hour 15 marathon pace? It's completely clueless because inevitably I'm going to run out of steam because I'm not fit enough to maintain that pace. And lo and behold, that's what happened. So the second point is, if you have data and you have training plans and you have these things to kind of give you information, listen to them, read them, analyse them, interpret them, and act upon them. Don't completely ignore it, which is absolutely kind of stupid. The next point is, it was one of the hottest marathons on Manchester Marathon's record books. It was 22 degrees in the air. Bear in mind, this is April in Manchester, in the UK. If you're not familiar with UK terminology, the north of England, where Manchester is renowned for being cold, wet, doomy and gloomy. But lo and behold, on the day of the marathon, it was like this, 22 degrees. But one thing you don't take into consideration when it's 22 degrees in the air, when you're running a marathon, you've got all those people insulating their heat, radiating heat, because they're working hard and getting hot and sweaty. And then you've got the buildings and the skyscrapers of an inner city reflecting the heat into the roads. And then you've got the tarmac of the roads reflecting the heat up. So it creates this kind of sauna environment. And it was probably more like about 27 on the track, which is incredibly hot for a marathon. When you put into perspective, what's perfect marathon conditions? Some would say 8 to 10 degrees, possibly up to 12 degrees centigrade. So this was over double that temperature. And that alone would probably you could argue that could equate to 5 to 15 minutes of lost time when you're dealing with that level of heat. That's how extreme the kind of heat can play a part in marathon running. So that wasn't taken into consideration. So not only was I trying to run at a 3 hour 15 marathon pace when I'm only fit enough for a 3 hour 30, but factoring in the heat as well, I should have been gearing up towards more of a 3:35, probably what I should have been going. So I was going, put it in perspective, that's like 20 seconds a kilometre quicker, which is a significant difference. And if you're not fit enough to do that, it's going to catch you up and bite you in the backside at the end. The next thing I learned was never use anything new on the day. I've talked about this. I talk about it all the time. Yet on the day, I find myself ridiculously using kind of silicone padding for my feet that I've never used before. I couldn't get the same brand that I tested. So I ended up thinking, right, well, that's going to be the same. It didn't have the same adhesive qualities. It didn't stick. It ended up rubbing. I ended up getting quite bad blistering issues. Not disastrous blistering issues, which is a really good thing to point, because the previous marathons I've done, I've had horrendous blistering issues, which have taken, a month or even 2 to recover. These are only minor blistering, so the padding was working to a degree, which is nice to know. It gives me a bit more confidence coming into the next marathon with the padding on. But I just need to make sure that I wear it and test it and scrutinise it a bit more before I'm making sure that it's exactly the same as what I'm going to use on the day. I was also using a gum sweet, which was an energy sweet, as opposed to the tablet sweets that I've been having in previous experience. So even though it was the same brand, it was a gum instead of a tablet. Should never have done that. I don't know what bearing that had, but I'm not sure it was the right call, so to speak. So lots of things I was kind of doing differently. There's just so many different things that I did, which was so wrong, so wrong. And ultimately, I think the learnings from my diary for today are, when you're reflecting upon a race, look at the bigger picture. I look at what happened at the race. My carb loading went well. My race nutrition, other than the replacing the gum sweet for the tablet sweet, you could argue that wasn't really a factor for why I performed poorly. The temperature was definitely a factor, and I should have considered that. The lack of training was a huge factor, and I chose to ignore what the data was telling me, how cardiovascular fit I am and the target time I should be going for, which was a foolish mistake. And even then I was going off quicker than what I wasn't even fit enough to do anyway. So even though I was ignoring the target time, I set the time faster than that, 5 minutes faster, and then I set off another 10 minutes faster than that in terms of the pace. So it's just absolutely foolish race strategy. And lo and behold, I paid the price. But I think the reality is, the final one is that I couldn't get hold. Poor planning, I couldn't get the same padding for my feet that I tested for the day. So although I was using very similar, thinking it would work exactly the same way, okay, what we say about assumptions, it was a foolish assumption, because the adhesive qualities of the new one that I tried wasn't as good as the one I tested. So I was then getting a lot of movement, a lot of friction with the padding in my shoes, which created blistering issues, which also played a big impact on why my performance wasn't up to par. So the learnings from my diary today are simply this, that when you're preparing for a marathon, or when you're reflecting upon a marathon, learn from your mistakes. And it's quite important to kind of go deep into what went well, what didn't go well, because there's so many variabilities. It's if things don't all work together and work, harmoniously together as planned, then the likelihood of you achieving your time is slim. It's such a demanding event. And the reality is I've identified probably 4 reasons why performance was not up to standard. And that's something to certainly reflect upon. So I hope this is useful. It's just my way of reflecting upon why I ultimately finished 22 minutes behind the target time that I'd set myself. And yeah, as I said, it was unrealistic expectations, lack of training, the heat conditions, trying new nutrition on the course, using new supportive gel strips for my feet that I'd never tried again on the day as well. So there's 5 reasons there. So when I come into Edinburgh Marathon in a month's time, I'll certainly be taking a different approach. So anyway, that's it from me. Questions or comments, drop me a line. Anything relevant, I'll respond to. Please do remember though, if you believe in my mission of saving the lives of children by attempting the ultimate ultra marathon of run vlogging on consecutive days, distance of half the world, barefoot style, do give this a subscribe, share, like and comment. More people we get in front of, more money we raise, more children's lives we save, which is what I do every single day. Thank you as always, stay positive, stay happy. I'll see you again tomorrow.